The problems of Norman Whiteside were truly a wild ride. His injuries alone made life incredibly tough, but his drinking problems only added to the chaos. It wasn't just about dealing with the physical pain. His struggles off the pitch made things even heavier on his shoulders. Every setback, whether from an injury or his own bad habits, pushed him further into trouble. Early in his days at Manchester United, Norman Whiteside's journey was already off to a rough start. During an A-team game against Preston North End, he suffered a knee injury that needed surgery, a major setback for a young player trying to make his mark. But that was just the beginning of his struggles. Whiteside wasn't just battling injuries. His aggressive style of play added even more drama to his career. He played hard, tackled harder, and never backed down from a challenge. This earned him nicknames like Shankill Skinhead and Rambo, labels that perfectly captured his tough, no-nonsense approach on the pitch. While this made him a force to be reckoned with, it also gave him a reputation as a bruiser, someone who could dish it out just as well as he could take it. But the problems didn't stop there. Off the field he had another battle: drinking. Like many players at Manchester United during that era, he got caught up in the team's drinking culture. Nights out, heavy sessions and wild times became a regular part of his life. While it may have been seen as normal back then, it didn't do him any favours in the long run. His body was already under immense stress from injuries, and his drinking habits only made things worse. But somehow, even with all these problems, he still managed to achieve great success in his career. A few days before he was old enough to sign a schoolboy contract with Manchester United, Liverpool came calling with an offer for a trial. That got United's chief scout, Joe Brown, on a plane straight to Belfast to make sure Whiteside didn't slip away. Whiteside ended up staying in Belfast, flying over to Manchester every weekend for training. Even before he turned professional, the comparisons to George Best started rolling in. Whiteside, however, played it cool, saying, "The only thing I have in common with George Best is that we come from the same place, play for the same club, and were discovered by the same man." Whiteside's problems, though, started early. At just 15, he suffered a groin injury, and a rough massage treatment from Glentoran's physio damaged his pelvis. This cost him his natural speed, something that would always be seen as the one weakness in his game. Then, just 6 weeks into his Manchester United apprenticeship, he picked up a serious knee injury in a game against Preston North End. The injury needed surgery, and he was sidelined for months. If it had happened a few years later, he could have had keyhole surgery, which might have saved his career in the long run. Instead, he had to go through an old-school operation and months of rehab before he was back on the pitch. Despite all this, he pushed through. He adapted his game, making up for his lack of pace with intelligence, strength, and a physical playing style that quickly earned him a reputation. He made his debut for Manchester United just before turning 17, becoming the club's youngest first-team player since the legendary Duncan Edwards. A few weeks later, he became the youngest player to score for the club in a league match. He even played in an FA Youth Cup final, though United lost, but bigger things were coming. By the time he turned 17, he was a professional, signing a 3-year contract. He shared a room with Steve Capel, who was nearing retirement due to his own knee problems, and he struck up a close friendship with Paul McGrath, another player who would struggle with knee injuries later in his career. His talent was undeniable, and when he got the chance to play up front alongside Frank Stapleton, he took it. The two of them formed a strong partnership, and Whiteside's ability to hold up play and make intelligent runs allowed Brian Robson to join the attack from midfield. That season, he played a key role in United, reaching both the FA Cup and League Cup finals. He made history, becoming the youngest player ever to score in a League Cup final when he netted against Liverpool. He also scored in the FA Cup final replay, helping United secure the trophy. He was only 18, but he had already set records and won silverware. United even accepted a £1.5 million offer from AC Milan for him, offering him a cash bonus to take the deal. But Whiteside turned it down. He wasn't ready to leave Manchester United just yet. He continued to impress, playing a big role in a memorable comeback win against Barcelona in the European Cup Winners' Cup. However, United ended the season without any trophies, and new players were coming in to challenge him for his spot. By the 1984-85 season, he had fallen down the pecking order and wasn't playing much up front. But when midfielder Remy Moses got injured, Whiteside was moved into midfield, and it turned out to be a game-changer. He formed a strong partnership with Brian Robson, and United went on a great run. Whiteside proved he could dominate in midfield just as well as he did up front. That season he also scored a perfect hat-trick, one goal with his left foot, one with his right, and one with his head, in an FA Cup quarter-final win over West Ham. Then came the 1985 FA Cup final against Everton. United had gone down to 10 men in extra time, but Whiteside stepped up, curling in a stunning goal to win the game. It was the kind of goal that showed off his intelligence, composure, and precise shooting. He had won another FA Cup, and at just 20 years old, he was already a United legend. United started the next season on fire, winning their first 10 league games, but they couldn't keep it up and faded as the season went on. Some blamed the club's drinking culture, though Whiteside insisted later that the stories about their partying were exaggerated. That summer, he played in his second World Cup at just 21 years old. But trouble was brewing. Injuries were catching up with him, and a new era was beginning at United. When Alex Ferguson took over as manager in 1986, things started changing. Whiteside was put back up front, and he scored 3 goals in his first 4 games back from injury. But Ferguson was known for his strict discipline, and Whiteside's drinking habits didn't sit well with him. Though Ferguson had nothing but praise for Whiteside's ability, their relationship was complicated. Whiteside continued to play well when fit, even representing the Football League in a special match to celebrate its centenary. But injuries kept slowing him down. He suffered a ruptured Achilles and missed almost an entire year of football. When he returned, he struggled to find his place in the team. By 1988, Ferguson was reshaping the squad, bringing in new players like Mark Hughes. Whiteside found himself playing less and less. He even handed in a transfer request, hoping for a better contract. Despite that, he put in one of his most legendary performances in a 3-3 draw against Liverpool at Anfield, coming off the bench to inspire a comeback. But the injuries wouldn't stop. His last goal for United came in February 1988. By the summer, Ferguson was ready to move on, and Whiteside was put on the transfer list. Several clubs showed interest, but his medical records scared many of them away. Eventually, Everton signed him for £600,000. Ferguson even helped him negotiate a better contract at his new club. Whiteside was now part of an Everton team that had recently won trophies and was still competing at the top. In his first season he played well, forming a solid midfield partnership with Stuart McCall and scoring 13 goals. Everton finished 6th, far behind Liverpool, but Whiteside was an important player. Unfortunately, training at Everton took a toll on his knee. After suffering yet another knock in a practice match, he had to undergo surgery again. Howard Kendall returned as Everton's manager in late 1990, but Whiteside struggled to get back to full fitness. He managed a few reserve games, but the writing was on the wall. At just 26 years old, his career was over. In 1992 he had a testimonial match between Manchester United and Everton at Old Trafford. But United had just lost the league title a week earlier, and only 7,000 fans showed up. It was a quiet end to a career that had burned bright, but faded too soon. Despite all the injuries, the battles on and off the field and the challenges he faced, his legacy remains. He was a teenage sensation, a record breaker, and a player who, on his day, could take on the best. That wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.